because that was fucking crazy.
Yes, it was. Welcome, everyone, to the 6th-round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, Eddie Mercado. We are coming to you live just following the conclusion of the UFC 226 pay-per-view card. And, man, that was a wild ending to a card that I'm not going to say the card was bad because Felder, Perry was fun. Chiesa, Pettis was cool as hell. Roundtree, Saki was fun as hell. But a card that felt like it could have gone off the rails, that Lewis versus Ngannou fight.
God awful.
As bad as MMA gets, really. I mean, it's, Kimbo. Without Kimbo Alexander levels of tiredness, at least Kimbo and Alexander got tired because they were trying to throw terrible sloppy punches at each other. Ngannou and Lewis just didn't.
It was a glorified dance-off, basically.
Yeah.
And they accidentally hit each other a couple times.
Yeah. So
but fuck that.
Yeah, but fuck that. Daniel Cormier is the new double champ, the true double champ, because
the first ever light heavyweight and heavyweight champion consecutively or simultaneously, I should say.
Simultaneously, yeah.
Oh, that is epic. I'm so glad I got to see this in real time. And oh man, this is epic. This is so epic. And I'm so upset with the UFC for not amping up this fight bigger, because this is one of the biggest fights of all time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of calls into the question of whether or not they can amp up a fight, any fight bigger that doesn't have Conor McGregor attached to it.
But you got to put some dollars behind this promotion. If you actually did it, like the Fertittas did, then, you might actually get some excitement. But they did bring in Brock Lesnar, which was a cool little twist.
Yeah.
He obviously declassed DC's moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he's going to do that. You're going to get that when Brock Lesnar steps into the cage. It's the whole I'm going to drink, Budweiser won't pay me, and I'm going to drink this beer and bang my wife, and post-fight speech thing all over again. You don't bring Brock Lesnar in because you want to class up your anything.
No, you bring Brock Lesnar in because it's your last-ditch effort to draw any kind of excitement anywhere close to the mainstream.
But nonetheless, Daniel Cormier, he wasn't winning any part of that fight until he won it. Yeah. But he also,
well, he was sticking a nice jab out there.
I'm not saying he was just getting flat out outclassed. It was a good back and forth fight, but
there was a moment when you were like, "Oh shit, I'm a little concerned for DC." When you see Miocic controlling him up against the fence, you're like, "Oh shit!" DC doesn't have his wrestling. Oh shit! This might not end well. But wow.
At the same time, there's this thing where, and this is principally why I picked DC going into it. The dude prepared for, went to war with, and had competitive, hard fights with John Jones twice.
Yeah.
There's just something even if he got knocked out the second time, Miocic isn't throwing that high kick. He's not knocking DC out with that.
Mm-mm.
And the man who prepares for those fights, who goes to war in those fights, who fights those fights close and competitive, he just has something extra in a bout that I've never seen Stipe Miocic have to have.
And plus everything you just said, you train with Cain Velasquez every single day. You fight Cain Velasquez
with the shell of whatever's left of Cain Velasquez every day.
No, man. He's been training with him since,
I know.
When Cain was prime.
He's been training with him since well before that used to mean something, and now well past the point where it does.
It still holds a little water, Coming up with Cain, that's legit, man.
Either way,
he just knocked out Stipe Miocic, who they called the greatest heavyweight of all time coming out, and he just gets slept by DC. Is DC the greatest heavyweight?
He's the daddest man on the planet, that's for sure.
Definitely the daddest man. He knocked out the Little League coach,
I know, that's right.
He should have put his son in at pitcher.
Pee-wee football versus Little League, bragging rights for life.
Yeah, his name gets on the water tower.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Epic.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful left hook inside, and yeah, you could see too. I mean, this is one of the things people, a lot of people too. I was saying like, if the fight gets messy, I trust Cormier's his cardio and his composure to hold up better. In part because of the wars we've seen him have with John Jones, the late.
Even Alexander Gustafsson, like
Yeah,
that was
that
chock
fight he
full
had
of
with
grit.
Alexander Gustafsson. Like, I just trust him to be a more composed, collected fighter. Where Miocic, he's known for his cardio, but he's known for his cardio in a division where nobody is known for their cardio. You know,
He's
like,
also known for like lapses and like paying attention.
exactly. And this fight was going all Stipe's way, but before that knockout, even you could see Cormier starting to land the jab. Stipe Miocic starting to get rocked by a few punches. Cormier starting to land the overhand, the right, and like them starting to trade more evenly. And as that's happening, it's just like, well, who's the dude who knows how to ride this out? Who knows how to be in this tough spot and last another 2 or 3 rounds if he has to?
Man,
Daniel Cormier, UFC champion.
He pulled out it reminded me of how Dan Henderson knocked out Shogun, where he I think it might have been the second fight where he caught him off a clinch break with that right hand, and it was like, holy shit, another fucking wrestler being slick with the exit off a clinch position. Like, that was fucking sweet, dude. That was so sweet.
And it was great to hear Cormier talk about it too afterward. Like, we saw that he dropped his hands when he drops out of the clinch. So we knew the opening was right there. And I mean, it is something with Stipe. He does go backward and drop his hands and like invite people to chase. I mean, that's why Fabricio Verdum ended up chasing him and getting knocked out, is because Stipe is like backing up and just kind of back and then fired that counter shot. So,
man, shout out to Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see him get this win. I know they're going to make that Brock Lesnar fight next, and yeah, I realize that all the people who've been like banking on USADA to really like clean up the sport are now, screaming and holding their heads and all that. But I mean, what were they going to do? Match him up with Curtis Blades or Alexander Volkov? Daniel Cormier is 2 fights from retirement. He's not taking that shit.
Nah, he needs that payday. He's going for Brock Lesnar. They're gonna make it happen one way or another, whether they need to do it in a state that or it's gonna happen.
Is just kind of like, he's been back we've been testing him for ages. You just don't know about it. It's all good. He's been clean. It's been fine. You just don't need to know. Come fight day, he'll be there, and we will have overseen months of this, so it's all good.
You picking DC in that one?
Yeah.
Of course. He's going to put the hands on him.
Yeah.
Brock doesn't like getting hit.
No.
But real quick, also, that could have been John Jones. That could have been John Jones.
No. Oh, that would have.
He's.
My heart hurts for that. My heart hurts for that because I mean, Brock Lesnar is basically getting a pass straight back to a UFC title. So what exactly the fuck are we doing with John Jones over here? I mean, I know he's a career fuck up, but at this point, so is Brock Lesnar. So what, like?
Yeah, but remember, John Jones opted to not save that one UFC card that never happened back in the day.
Yeah,
sure, like the grudges are really being held there.
I guess.
And Brock Lesnar's not getting arrested and found with cocaine and a bowl and fleeing the scene from a pregnant hit and
that's
run
why
and all that.
Canada.
Man.
All right. Before that, Derek Lewis beat Francis Ngannou, and fuck that fight. I don't.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. That was
I love like Dominic Cruz being like, man, losing to Stipe is gonna be the best thing that ever happened to Ngannou. And like, man, I bet he's just waiting out these first 2 rounds, and he's gonna come back in the 3rd round and tear it up. He's
gonna sprint. He's gonna sprint for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Nope.
Nope. He's gonna stare at Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis is gonna stare right back.
Yeah, that fight was terrible.
Worst fight ever.
And the thing is that I am willing to bet that this is like a transition point for Ngannou, where he's been trying to work on a whole bunch of new shit because he got embarrassed, and he just came out and realized he doesn't know any of that shit well enough to actually use it. And just froze up. So maybe he will get better. Maybe we'll see a better Francis Ngannou down the road. I'm not willing to just write this off as like your career is dead. But this is the kind of performance that people are going to remember this fight for like 4 years and be like, Francis Ngannou he sucks. You remember that god awful Derek Lewis fight?
Only if like it happens again or close to again. If he comes out his next fight and just whacks someone in like a brutal, spectacular way, no one's going to remember this fight.
He needs that. He needs it right now.
Of all the fights that I thought were going to just be like bangers, where it's just like, holy shit, I cannot blink for this one. I'm taping my eyelids open. Yeah. It just couldn't have been more of a disappointment.
Yeah. But hey, Derek Lewis in the title picture.
No, he's not. Nah. Oh man, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's such a buzzkill.
Yeah, it is. They might fight. I mean, they're doing. I don't think they've actually made Blades versus Volkov yet. So Lewis is probably going to be hanging out, waiting to see which of those guys he might pick up. But man, what a terrible fight. Before that, Mike Perry beat Paul Felder. Tough fought, close fight. Back and forth. Felder fighting with a broken arm after pretty early in the fight, maybe off that spinning back fist, maybe off of trying to post on a takedown attempt from Perry.
That big ass slam. This might have been fight of the night, actually.
Yeah.
This was a brutal fight. Like if I had to choose one fight to not be involved in, it would probably be this one because both guys got
Uriah Hall out there.
What's that?
Not being Uriah Hall out there? I don't know.
I mean, but even then, like, I don't feel like it's as brutal and as grueling as this fight was.
Yeah, this was definitely, especially going all 15 minutes and neither guy going out and just
all the blood and like Felder is so tough, man. He overcame so much adversity in this fight. Like,
I think he probably did more work to Perry than Perry did to him. It's just
the damage
hurt more, you know?
Yeah. Like, so you said Felder had the broken arm.
Yep.
He had large hematomas over his right eye. Then he got cut in the right eye. And before any of that, the very first movement of the fight was a headbutt. And they're both like bleeding from the skulls to just start the bout. And it's like, damn.
Yeah. So good win for Perry to kind of get him back on track. He did look a lot more composed than he has in previous bouts. Looks like he's getting, more in control, learning to use his tools better. He's obviously a great natural fighter. He needs a lot more. He needs a better coaching, which he's getting now at Jackson Wink. So
yeah, structure and guidance is what that dude needs, obviously.
Yeah. Right. For Felder, it's probably a sign that he should just go back to 155 and see if he can just kind of reinsert himself back as a fighter on the rise. Take this as like take the medal for, I showed up on short notice when they needed somebody, and now I'm going to go back and compete in the division where I've been making waves.
And we've seen shit like that pay off. Look at Kelvin Gastelum, he's getting a title shot because he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
But what a great fight, though.
Great fight. Yeah, really enjoyable. Before that, Anthony Pettis beat Michael Chiesa. And, man, like, I never thought we would see anything approaching Showtime again. Honestly. Yeah. Like, it's been 5 years. People are like, since 2014, that Gilbert Melendez fight was not Showtime Pettis. No. That was the start of the decline of Gilbert Melendez when Pettis was firmly in the I get backed up by everybody who rushes me, but I pulled off this fantastic submission while getting clipped up in this fight. This is a return to the guy who beat Donald Cerrone and Benson Henderson, to the guy who came out and was just letting shit go, being aggressive and saying, if you come close to me, I'm going to try and jump on the first submission that I can find.
Yeah, and that really is that whole camp's MO.
Yeah.
And like maybe he nailed it. Like getting away from that and trying to be everything to everyone is what was a hindrance. It's like, it's tough though because it's such an old school kind of way of fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really hard to be super successful at it. But it's like Pettis is elite enough to where he's actually that good enough at it to where it's functional, and it's functional to the point where it's, you know, it's not fluke shit. Like that triangle armbar is not a fluke. Like he set that up. He cut the angle and got perpendicular. He grabbed the leg. Like he that was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
No, like I say, this is a return. This is the first time we've seen Showtime Pettis in 5 years. Like, that's remarkable. It helps that Michael Chiesa is, you know, sick jitsu dude who's like, nah, leg kicks don't hurt me, body shots don't hurt me. I'll just come out here and throw my wild arm hooks that are terrible and leave me exposed. But even still, like, Chiesa got the pressure he wanted. He got Pettis down like he wanted. He was getting the fight that he needed, but Pettis was able to just stay active, stay scrambly, stay aggressive when it stood up.
Because he didn't give a fuck if he got taken down. And that just frees up so much. Like, look at all these jiu-jitsu guys who get away with their striking because they don't care if they get taken down. It's kind of like on the same kind of wavelength with that. But this was fun to see. And Chiesa missed weight, so Pettis got an extra 30% of Chiesa's purse for that.
Great win for Pettis. I'm not sure what's going to be next for him at lightweight because, I mean, he's been losing a lot lately, so it's tough.
That is the perfect narrative for this. You just don't know what to do with him. Like, I don't know. Is Joe Lozon still fighting? Maybe, I don't know.
No, God, no, not Joe Lozon, please.
Oh no, he should fight Chiesa.
Joe Lozon?
If he's still fighting, yeah.
Please don't have Joe Lozon fight people who are like reasonably close to some competitive spot in the division. Lozon just got melted by Chris Gritzmacher. Like, melted.
But Chiesa is like, dude, Chiesa's a grappler, right? And he's coming off back-to-back submission losses.
But Chris Gritzmacher is like a dude who like undercards regional fight cards. And he melted Joe Lozon. Like, they had to throw in the towel.
It's not like Chiesa's going to melt Joe Lozon.
I would pick him too. I would pick him to knock Joe Lozon out.
I would pick him, but not to knock him out.
No, just don't make that fight, please. Put Pettis in against. I mean, put him in against. Well, no, Paul Felder trains with him, but
it's weird. Yeah, there's
maybe with like Bobby Green or Francisco Trinaldo or, you know, Evan Dunham even. I'd take Evan Dunham or something. But
I feel like that's such a waste, though. Like, I think you're going the wrong way with that. He needs to fight bigger names. Like, we don't need to waste Pettis.
What about Charles Oliveira?
Yeah, that's fucking money. Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
He's already fought him. They already fought, and Pettis won. But it was
he subbed him, right? Pettis subbed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that again.
Anything but Joe Lozon, please, for the love of God. I can't take that. I can't do that.
We'll leave J-Lo alone.
Yeah, leave J-Lo alone. I'm gonna start screaming here in my booth. All right. For that, Khalil Roundtree beat Gokhan Saki, and
holy shit!
I mean,
4-ounce gloves.
4-ounce gloves. And I think the big thing, honestly, is that Saki just did not expect Roundtree to be that fast at all. Like, Roundtree started throwing hooks out of the gate, and you could see on Saki's face, he's like, oh shit, those are flying at me. Like, maybe
he was like, holy shit, this dude's not respecting my striking pedigree at all.
Like, if that fight goes a whole round, Khalil starts to slow down a little, then I'd pick, maybe you pick Saki to take it over and bust him up and be more technical and turn that fight around. Because, like, Khalil Roundtree was beating the pants off Michael Aleksejuk before Aleksejuk just started tuning him up because Roundtree gassed himself out. But that's the other thing. Saki, he's 34 and it's a worn out 34.
A lot of high miles on that one.
A lot of high miles.
Roundtree's athletic, and he had the courage and the confidence to throw a Saki, and he knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why MMA is the greatest sport on the planet, because anything can happen on any given night, and this is case in point.
Yep. I'm And I'm happy to see it kind of rejuvenate Roundtree's career a little. Saki's always going to be this fun sort of feature fighter that people show up for. He was never going to be like a title contender in this division. So it just kind of puts a little more. It keeps expectations reasonable of like, we're going to put Saki in fun action fights. Show up to watch him kickbox in MMA gloves with some dude.
Yeah.
And it'll be violent even if he doesn't win. So
it's just like what they do with Joe Schilling over at Bellator.
Yeah.
Same kind of idea.
Or Hisaki Kato. Keep him in those kind of bouts,
Man, I want to see that actually now that you mention
it. Before that, Paulo Costa beat Uriah Hall.
This was awesome.
And this was such a Hall looked great early. If I had picked anybody to just stay consistent in this fight behind some decent fundamentals, it would not have been Uriah Hall. Right. But he was out there just pumping the jab and living behind it for a whole round. But you can only fight that bully dynamic so long, and especially
without setting up anything behind it.
And especially once Costa started fouling him, you could just see that get into Hall's head. He's like, this dude's just picking on me, and I hate it, and I'm mad, and I just want this to stop, and fuck this dude. And Costa's just like, that's all I need.
What do you want from me, bro?
Come on, bro.
I'm not the referee.
Stop hitting yourself. I'm just out there shoving him. And that was just like by the end of round one, it was like, I probably give Hall round one. He landed a lot of hard jabs, snapped Costa's head back, but I also know where the momentum of this fight's going, and it's not going Uriah Hall's way.
No.
Costa came out in round two, just bullying him more and more, landing hard to the body, stepping in, landed that pretty hook, and then another one and an uppercut behind it, knocked him flat on his face.
Dude, he looks so good out there.
He is. I mean, it's pure Alistair Overeem. If Overeem had like
a chin
and was able to stay confident through adversity.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing, because Hall actually cracked Paulo and made him drop for a second, and Paulo just kind of smiled and just was like, "That wasn't nothing. Like, you're fucked."
Hall took him down. Costa just pops right back up, keeps coming. Like he
was so controlled too, and then he would unchain that savage horsepower in bursts, and it was highly effective. And like the way he was ripping those combos, like to the body and upstairs with like the most aggressive. It looked like he was hitting pads out there.
Yeah,
like that's how clean that was. It's so athletic, and he's so fucking ripped. He's like the Hulk.
It is like he's Uberlandia Reem. That's what it is, man. Like, dude is pure Strike Force era Alistair Overeem, just running on intense confidence and 1,000% horse meat.
Yeah, so he recovers quickly, and he doesn't shy away from the adversity, and so he's not a glass cannon. He's just a fucking Hulk, dude. He's just a cannon.
Yep.
Man, and Waleed Ismail's in his corner, an MMA pioneer, BJJ world champion. So that was super fun. Who, if for those who do not know, he fought MMA from 1992 to 2002. That's how old school this dude is. We actually covered his only UFC fight on one of the UFC retros or the 6-round retros for UFC 12, and it was the most fouls I've ever seen in a single fight. In a sanctioned match, and also the most fouls that weren't called in a sanctioned match. So you got to go check out that fight. It's so lawless.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paulo Costa, Israel Adesanya, yes, sir.
It's got to happen sooner or later. They're on collision course.
I need it now. Like, I need that now.
It might as well happen now, because Adesanya, like, it's either that or he's going to get tossed to, one of the bigger, like, one of the top guys to see if he can survive up there. This is the slight check, like, let's do some fun shit for a while, see if maybe one of you guys can, like, build up some real hype before you get into that title fight. But at the same time, man, it'd be fun to see both of them end up in the top of that division, wrecking dudes.
Oh, man, I need to see that, though. It would be like, I don't know. It would be like a Ferrari versus like an old school GTO or some shit, like classic muscle car versus elegant, fancy, but yet still powerful supercar.
Yeah. All right. Before that, Rafael Sunsao beat Rob Font, and I went with my gut on this. I picked Rob Font. I thought, you know what? I know Sunsao has the tools, but I just feel it. It did not happen. Sunsao made him look bad. Like, it was completely a one-sided wash.
He sunned him.
Yep.
You know, and kudos for Sunsao for even taking the fight with someone outside of the top 10.
Yep.
And this was just a super technical performance, but technical and still a whole lot of activity going on also.
Oh, yeah. Dropped him completely, beat him up, took him down, dominated him from top control, and then just picked him apart. Just stayed, Sunsao stays so tight with his boxing. Never gives you an opening. You have to take everything from a Sunsao if you want to hit him, if you want to hurt him. It's never going to be because he made a mistake. It's always going to be, I have to go in and open something up and try to land something.
So last night on the 6th round, you said you felt bad for Brad Tavares because that loss set him back, and it's like, oh, you're never going to get that title shot. I feel bad for a Sunsao.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Been deserving a title shot, and he always gets overlooked because he's so humble, he's so quiet. Some of his performances are a little bit boring, but I mean,
he has this controlled style that leaves no openings and takes no chances, but still beats people really clearly, and
it's just proof that winning alone isn't enough to get to the title. He was like in tears, almost in tears, begging for a title shot, saying, "What do I have to do?" And it's like, you just got to feel for that dude. It's like, man, like
he's the most underrated fighter out there. No question, hands down. Dude gets no respect.
And it sucks because it's like, where does he go from here? He already beat Marlon Moraes, but Moraes just put on that epic head kick knockout of Jimmy Rivera. So it's like that kind of supersedes what you just did.
That feels like the fight that the Dillashaw versus Garbrandt winner is going to get, is that Moraes fight. That's a fight the UFC's like, that's going to be fun. We want that one. Meanwhile, Asunta's like, I can just beat this dude 30-25, 30-26, whatever, And this is, they got the whole, like, Drake, like, no,
It sucks, too. It's like they're not answering his text messages. Yeah. Like, he on his phone, he's like, he got the read receipt. He knows it's seen, but he's not getting a reply. He's just like, oh, what do I have to do? Like, I beat the guy that's probably going to jump over me. And that's a tough pill to swallow.
He's in the octagon texting Dana White. He's like, yo, dude, what about that title shot? And Dana White's like, who dis?
Yeah, new phone, who dis? Oh, man.
Poor all right. For that, Drakkar Klose beat Lando Venata, and
Klose looked good out there.
Klose looked good, and the thing is that he looked good without really adding anything to his game. He didn't,
except for like, I feel like what he added was intangibles.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that he didn't come out with suddenly a super powerful wrestling game. He got a couple takedowns, but he didn't hold Venata down. He didn't show off like, oh, I'm this deep, technical, unstoppable wrestler, and that he's always been good in the clinch.
I think it's his game plan. Like, he showed up with the game plan here.
He didn't show up with a whole new arsenal of technical, like high octane striking to match Venata. Mostly just showed up with amazing timing. Just knew right when to duck in and get the clinch on Venata and beat him up in there, and just pick Venata. Like, Venata spinning all fight, and every single time he spun, it was the worst decision. He would just get clocked with a hard hook, or get kicked right in the get his support leg kicked out, and then nearly tip over. And it was just impeccable timing all night from Klose to just, make Venata pay for being a guy who has a lot of flash and still doesn't have a lot of the baseline, like, Venata's like not an overwhelming wrestler, not an overwhelming grappler, not a deep defensively sound technical striker who can just dominate with a really clean striking performance. And so Klose just, it's like, oh, you're going to spin, you're going to throw some flashy kick, I'll just land a good solid shot and get out of the way.
I'll just duff you, move out of the way, and then kick you in the calf repeatedly. And his cardio held up. He was able to maintain it. He didn't look like he slowed down at all. And It was a pretty clean performance. This was probably the cleanest performance we've seen from him.
Yeah. For that, adding to some welterweight weirdness, Kurtis Malenda beats Max Griffin, who beat Mike Perry, but just got trashed tonight and could not find any way inside on Malenda. He got a takedown in the first round, but after that, Malenda just had his timing down, and Griffin really never got close enough to get another takedown. He got a couple pushed in for a couple body locks and stuff, but it's that difference between a natural wrestler and a guy who's done a lot of MMA and has learned to wrestle, where Griffin just could not change angles of like, oh, I'm going for the double, now let me hit the single, let me change my angle on that, let me scoop an ankle, and it's just like, no, I'm on this double and it's not working, and I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, and it was like, so he went in for the double, it didn't work, and then next thing he knows, he's defending something, whether it be elbows, whether it be a guillotine attempt, whatever
all
the
those
case.
Fucking knees. Malenda just lit him up with perfectly timed counter knees.
I think that was another big part of why the forward pressure of Griffin really scaled back over the course of the fight, because he started throwing those jump knees, which was like, if the first knee doesn't land, the second one probably is. And it was just,
he landed
you don't want to come forward into that.
7 of those to start the fight too, like right early in the first round before that takedown. Malenda was lighting Griffin up with those knees. So I think what it showed too for me is with Malenda, it showed him as a much more composed fighter who's reacting better to pressure than he ever used to. Because he used to be a guy who would just kind of back up and freeze and get back on the cage and get pulled to the mat. And now he's got, it's like a game plan. Okay, if you're going to come forward, I've got the timing to pick you off. I know how to throw a few more counter strikes. I know how to sprawl a little better, to do just enough to keep you way out on the end of my range, which is a huge problem because he's a fucking middleweight out there.
Yeah. And he did all this with a banged up foot. Did you see that hematoma on his foot from a checked kick? That was pretty gruesome. So he's tough, man. And he's super athletic, and he's long, and he fights long. And turns out he can defend some takedowns from guys who aren't exactly great wrestlers. So he's still a prospect.
Yeah. Good, strong showing from Malenda. Like I say, it kind of creates some weirdness in that welterweight division because Griffin just had a great performance against Mike Perry, who put on a great fight against Paul Felder, and I don't know.
So does that mean Malenda Perry is next? Because I don't want to see that. I feel like that's a waste of Mike Perry. I don't want to see him like trying to work to get on the inside.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not fun for me.
Watch it.
I want to see him banging out with someone like he did with Felder, or like he did with Max Griffin.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'd still watch the hell out of it, but
Perry needs to find. He needs to fight Elizu Zaleski.
Oh yeah, Elizu Zaleski. That would be a hell of a fight.
That's what needs to happen there.
All right. Before that, Dan Hooker beat Gilbert Burns, and man, if anybody's fucking turned into a killer over their UFC career, it's Dan Hooker.
Shit, man.
Like this is a dude who got absolutely owned by Maximo Blanco at featherweight. He was getting pieced up by Hatsu Hioki standing before he landed that head kick. He lost a clear round to Ross Pearson just like 2 years ago. And now he's out here and he just put on like an absolutely perfect performance against Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, man, that was intense, man. He looked so sharp out there, and he's just consistently getting better and proving that like you're not gonna stand with this dude. And like Burns was game, like he came out and he landed that big right hand, and it seemed to have woken up Hooker. And Hooker was like, okay, I'm in a fight, kind of how Forrest Griffin used to do, where he was kind of lackadaisical until he got popped, and then it was like, oh shit, okay, I'm in a fight and I need to defend myself. But yeah, the laser right hand dropped Burns, and left hook to the body, and then left hook to the head, put Burns down again, and that was fucking sweet. I love seeing the double left hooks going from the body to the head. A couple ground strikes, and it was over, man. Put some respect on his name. You know what I mean?
Right. It's really great to see Hooker add more combination punching to his game because he's clearly developed some power as his technique has gotten cleaner at lightweight. And, he's been there, the sharp, like against Miller, against Pearson, all that. He's been able to find those sharp single strikes that put people down. But this is the first fight where I really feel like I've seen him start to have a consummate combination punching game to make that use of that power in ways that guys are going to have a lot of trouble figuring out,
Big time. And I like his microphone skills. They're getting a lot better. Like he actually was aggressive with what he was saying. He was like, look, man, you're getting these guys hurt. Give me someone on my level, So this dude's a problem, and he deserves some better opposition. That's for sure.
Does. For that, Emily Wittmeyer beat Jamie Moyle and did her best work of the night, telling off Vinny Magalesh afterward in her post-fight speech.
Dude, that was definitely the best part of all of that. She was like, she gets announced the winner, right? She shakes Moyle's hand, and then she runs over to Vinny and just flips the double bird, and she's like, fuck you, you're a fucking piece of shit. And I'm just like, holy shit, what is that about? Yeah. And then she gets on the mic and she's like, yeah, Vinny's my teammate. He wasn't going to corner against me. I see him get off the bus. He wouldn't even text me or nothing. So he can go fuck himself.
Yep.
Like, yo, she's fired up.
I've never, I'm not the biggest Dominic Cruz fan on the mic as an announcer, but I love after that. He's like, hey, I'm all for Wittmeyer calling him out. There are a lot of coaches in this game who are like running around and stuff. And I was like, fuck, you know what? Yeah, back her up. Why not?
Fair play. Yeah, I thought it was great. I dig her moxie. Like, I want to see her. I want to see more of her just because of that.
Yeah,
like give her the microphone
for me. But that was a great call out at the end.
He needs to be mic'd up a lot more. That's what the UFC needs. They need to be micing up their fighters a lot more than just after their fights.
End of the day, like I can't argue with this pay-per-view. Louis Ngannou is just like should go into a black hole and be forgotten forever.
Man,
but
that was just
Cormier becoming double champ and the rest of the card being full of fun action fights, some thrilling finishes.
Yeah, a bloody war with Felder and Perry.
Yeah, it's just a really fun night, and we know what's coming.
Pettis came back to life. That was
cool. See, like watching that performance, it's like, oh god, yeah, this is why we loved Anthony Pettis so much in his heyday, because you forget, like, it's been, like I said, it's been 5 years since we got the kind of Pettis where you're like, oh man, like
this guy's dangerous.
Yeah,
that guy's dangerous. That we saw tonight, he's dangerous.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yep. So it was fun as shit to see that. Loved pretty much everything about this card other than that co-main event, but DC rescues it. We know what's next. Love it or hate it, it's easily the biggest fight the UFC can make at heavyweight, unquestionably. And
it's actually probably maybe like the top 3 fights they can make, period.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of money on the table right there.
And this gives Miocic a chance to maybe, take on another random action fight at the top of the division while that clears out.
Let him fight Derek Lewis.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah. Let him fight Derek Lewis. I'd watch that. No question. Let him fight Alexander Volkov. Why not?
Anyone, really.
Yeah.
Stipe's a killer.
Stipe is fun as shit to watch. So it frees up Stipe to take another fun fight. We'll see DC and that Brock Lesnar fight.
Real quick question, big question.
Yeah.
Will the UFC strip Daniel Cormier of his light heavyweight title?
I don't think they will in the moment because I don't think they have anybody to take it.
Is Latifi doing an interim title? Or is that just talk right now?
It's probably just talk right now. I don't know.
I heard he was doing an interim title.
Either way, I don't know. It doesn't I can't imagine I can see them making.
They stripped Connor.
I can see them, yeah, but they had people at featherweight that they were happy enough putting a belt on at the time. Like, and Connor took like a while. Like that was
true.
I don't see like DC. I see them vacating it. I see him retiring potentially before he ever defends it again. But I don't know if they'd strip him.
Okay, fair enough.
That's just my thought on it. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at TheZaneTime. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find both of us over at BloodyElbow.com. Day in, day out. Give this video a like, thumbs up, down there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com, DOTCOM, all spelled out. That's where you find all the latest Bloody Elbow shows, videos, analysis, interviews, news, whatever. And we will be back next week for UFC Boise, JDS versus Ivanov.
Which should be a freaking banger, hopefully. Yeah. But that's what I said about the co-main event tonight. And
I know. You can never tell with heavyweights. And we will be back with the 6th round. I'll be back with the vivisection. We'll have Care Don't Care. We'll have If I Did It. We'll have Heavy Hands. We'll have all that good stuff we do all the time. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you soon.